You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. I'm going to pull up this Quinnipiac poll. Okay, and so here's a piece. Everybody will beat Donald Trump, according to this poll. Okay, so Joseph Biden, 51-43. Bernie Sanders, 51-43. Biden, 51-42. Sanders, 51-43. Warren, 50-43. Bloomberg, 48-42. Buttigieg, 48-43. Klobuchar, Senator Amy Klobuchar, 47-43. Okay, here's what's crazy about that. Trump doesn't get above 43% in that. What the hell are Republicans afraid of? I mean, you would think that if you are Republican, and if you say to a voter, 16 intelligence agencies have said that Russia meddled in our election. I'm sorry, I am not going to agree with the president on this one. Are you literally afraid?
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. Republicans do not believe those polls. What Republicans will tell you is there were polls that also said that Hillary would demolish him. And so that's the issue.
Well, first of all,
but every election is different.
First of all, if we even go back to that, the reality is, when it came to that, one, did she win the popular vote? The answer is yes. Elections are also really statewide elections, so part of the problem there, you had national polls. But she did get 3 million more votes than he did. Second thing that you also, and you factor in, the Comey interference changed the election. There, in my estimation, what Comey did resulted in a 3 to 5 point flip, and frankly, that's how he won. Trump only won the presidency by 79,000 votes.
Exactly. Okay, but what you're presenting is logic.
Right, and that's and they don't really like logic, and that's really the issue, Scott. I mean, and Scott, what they're doing is they're just throwing all kind of crap to purposely cause folks to discombobulate. And then, because we know they voters are simple-minded as hell.
And they just lied to him.
If this was Frank Lucas in American Gangster, he'd be like, you're simple-minded mother. That's how you describe him.
But what's amazing about the GOP at the Senate and House Representatives level is how much they're willing to perpetrate these lies. See, we call them all these narratives and alternative facts. These are just lies. The Senate GOP Committee on Intelligence issued a report saying this Russian interference was not a hoax. All the intelligence agencies say the same thing. Now you have Horowitz and IG saying the same thing, and these leaders in the House and the Senate side just completely ignore that reality. So you change the narrative. If you say it over and over again, you change the narrative, and if you have 40% base or 43 who wants to believe what you're saying, then they want to believe in the conspiracy. If you look at their lives and the lives of Donald Trump to take the money away, and all those that are supporting him at that GOP base, they think alike, they sound alike. How they view government with distrust is all very similar. So you have a willing audience willing to do that. Now, you look at that polling, which was really interesting. The 43% that he gets in that polling is as high as his approval rating will ever be. The problem with that national poll is this, though. This race is going to come down to 3 states.
Right.
It's going to come down to Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and what's the other one?
Michigan.
And Michigan.
How
is he doing? Hold on, bro. How is he doing in those 3 states? That's all I care about.
But here's a piece,
and that's all I will care about over the next year.
But actually, if you break
because that's your 79,000 votes right there.
But if you actually break that down, you can actually add 2 to 3 other states.
You can add
Ohio?
No. First of all, Ohio's gone. He won Ohio by 450,000 votes. He won Ohio by 400. Wait a minute. He won Ohio by 450. He won Ohio by 450,000 votes. All them white union workers are gonna keep voting for him. They about as dumb as those farmers who's still gonna support him.
Right.
Okay. Here's the deal. Arizona. The astronaut Mark Kelly. He's leading McSally in Arizona. Democrats could pick up Arizona. Latino voting may surge there as well. So the western states you got to look at are Arizona and Nevada. But if you go, first of all, I think he wins Florida. But what's also going to be in play, because Democrats have narrowed the margins, now you have a Democratic governor, is North Carolina. because they have been able to, with gerrymandering and voter suppression, they've been able to claw back some of that. Remember, Obama wins North Carolina by 14,000 votes. He barely loses it in 2012. Trump doesn't win it running away in 16. And so I certainly think those 3 states, I think you do North Carolina, 2 western states, you're going to have about six or seven states that really could very well shift in this election.
Yeah. What about the Trump effect, though, that he underpolls? What about that? How does that factor in?
No. And Chris, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and respond to that.
Yeah, well, there's the Trump effect, but you also have who is the Democratic nominee and how is that person going to pull away the votes? Look.
Well, it won't be Hillary Clinton.
No, we know that.
So we got to come up with something else.
But if you look at, my view is if the best chance the Democrats have of beating Donald Trump is going to be Mike Bloomberg, depending on, I think so.
Ain't happening.
Got to get through the nomination.
Hold up. Let me be real clear. Okay, you don't have to expend any brain cells. like literally, you can save them. You might have some excess. You can save them. Mike Bloomberg, let me go ahead and say right now, Mike Bloomberg ain't getting that nomination because here's the deal. Ain't a black woman and a black man with some sense gonna let his ass try to explain away stop and frisk. It ain't gonna happen.
I'm not sure about that because here's the thing. By
it ain't gonna happen.
Super Tuesday, every one of the Democrats gonna be out of cash. Where they gonna get the money from?
By Super Tuesday, those black people who got locked up and stop and frisk won't be out of prison.
The Democrats have raised more money collectively, these individuals who are running, as much as, if not slightly more, than what the GOP has raised. Now, when you get down to 1, 2, or 3 individuals who are running, all that cash that Democrats have poured into these individual candidates, they are going to pour into the DNC. The money's not going to be an issue. You believe what you want, it's not going to be an issue.
Here is, again, when you begin to look at what is going to happen in terms of moving forward. 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. Donald Trump can't lose any of those white women. I think he's going to lose 2 to 3 points. That's one.
Okay.
That's one.
Okay.
But the other pieces is here. Frankly, where Democrats are, it's likely, I would say, if you had to put money, it'll be Joe Biden. But the bottom line is here. You're going to see a Democrat turnout that you have not seen.
With Joe Biden at the top of the ticket?
No.
Here's the piece. They can't. Let me tell you something right now.
Can't be Pete.
Folk hate Trump so bad. You gonna have folk who gonna sober up to vote against Donald Trump. Monique, go ahead.
I respectfully disagree about the GOP being scared. To me, the ones I've seen up close during the past 3 years and the ones I've watched from a distance are ruthless, power-grabbing, amoral, and interested in as many judges and justices as they can stack the courts with, interested in collecting checks without doing any work, interested in allowing Trump to act a fool, and all they really have to give up for the sake of that is letting themselves be talked about as fools while they didn't have an agenda in the first place. So when they were in the majority, they got no work done when they had the House and the Senate. I'm sorry, you got no work done when you had the House and the Senate and the presidency. And so then in losing the House, then they get to claim kind of in the Senate, oh, well, the House is overreaching and et cetera and so on. But no, that doesn't bear out because when all of the power clustered around them, they had nothing that they were interested in doing and advancing for the people in America. And so now we have this dunce who is the president, and they all tap dance to whatever BD's doing. He just called a sitting senator, a sitting representative, a bastard on live TV. Like, while I used to let my children watch the president, we can't. And they don't even go and try to explain it. You know what they did instead? They put 2 more judges on the federal bench today who are
rated unqualified.
I can't. No, my blood literally started boiling all the way up just trying to think about words I could use to describe, considering all of the people I know who, as defense members of the bar, public defenders, government servants who have served with integrity for decades are not getting selected. And there are even some whose appointments are being withheld right now that are just stuck in committee while they put forward these people who, I mean,
and only one has been black.
In my
out of
lifetime,
all them judges, he only found one black dude.
In our lifetimes, we will not cycle out of these appointments. So to me, we can say they're scared all we want, but McConnell is the devil in a suit.
Misha, I do want to pull this up because when you look at the poll here, that when it comes to Quinnipiac poll, when it comes to black voters, Biden's at 51%. Second place is Bernie Sanders. Elizabeth Warren is at 12%, but in fourth is actually don't know at 10%. What do you make of that? Biden's huge lead among black voters. And at 51%, what that says is that in each of the sectors, he's winning each of the everybody keeps talking about, the older black voters.
Right.
No, he's winning each of the sectors, and if he's losing young voters, it's a small margin, and they can't make that up for everybody 34 and up.
I think that there's wishful thinking on the part of some journalists who have considerably tried to separate older black voters from younger black voters in terms of their support for Joe Biden. At the end of the day, there is an embedded level of, I think, resonance with him. There's an embedded level of appreciation. He is known to the black community. He's done almost solely an entire amount of outreach towards the black community throughout this election process in a way that we haven't seen some of the other candidates devote to it. And then there's also the Obama factor. He was the closest one to the first black president. And I think that that makes a difference. When it comes to millennials like myself and then the next generation who are going to be voting in this election, I think that there are some people who don't necessarily always appreciate some of his stances, but there are also people who want to see someone who can defeat Trump. And I think that right now they see him as probably the most viable.
All right, so let me throw this out and push back on that. Do you believe that white supremacy is the reason why you're seeing those numbers from black voters? Let me unpack it. The day after Trump wins, all we hear on Morning Joe and on CNN and the other MSNBC shows and Fox and ABC and CBS and NBC, all we heard was, we really need to listen to these white voters in the middle of the country. We really need to listen because they're rebelling. The economic anxiety of these white voters is really what was driving this. Trump was appealing to the economic anxiety of these white voters. That's all we heard. Scott, do you believe black people have internalized that and, like other people, have concluded, you know what, the only person who can beat Trump is another old white dude?
No, I don't think that at all. I think there are a lot of factors in 2016, including a number of black people not voting or undervoting.
First of all, it was just 2.4%. But I'm talking about, what I'm talking about is, all we've heard for 3 years. For 3 years is you know, and I've had these conversations with people. And I've heard it a lot that, you know, the only way we're gonna be we're going to find us. We're going to find us a white man. Michael Avenatti, when he came on the show, I lit his ass up on that whole deal, and he said it. Right. But there's this whole deal that we got to appeal to them white working class voters.
No,
and the only person who can do it is a white person.
Yeah, no. Let me change the narrative a little bit. I think that the Republicans under Donald Trump have made the country so racially divisive, right? That I think black people of color, not all, I can't speak for all, but people of color believe that the White House under Trump is so dangerous that they're intellectualizing who is the best person to beat Donald Trump. When they think about Kamala Harris or Cory Booker, what's missing from your poll is that Cory Booker is less than 1% on that poll. He ought to be at 5, 10, 20% just for being black, and yet he
But see, that's proving my point.
Exactly.
What's proving my point is that, again, I look at messaging. I look at, first of all, black people watch TV more than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And we have been inundated since the day after the election that everything is about white voters. And Chris, here's the other thing. 71% of the electorate in 2016 were white voters.
Right.
This election will be likely the first. Now, this election likely will be the first time in American history that less than 70% of the total electorate are white.
Mm-hmm. But see, here's the thing for Democrats. Okay, so
And you're a Republican. You're going to tell us what's going on with
Go ahead.
here's the thing.
Got it.
From a branding and messaging standpoint, we are two things, and we stick to that: loud and wrong. We can be loud and we can be wrong. We're going to be loud and wrong consistently. Democrats, well, perhaps we think we should. No, we're going to say what we got to say. And so you look at the whole impeachment thing. Here's the issue. Okay, so what y'all want us to do? What are the high crimes? What are the misdemeanors? And frankly, from the Democratic standpoint, you put together this panel of legal scholars, everybody white.
So what? What difference does that make what the panel
it makes a significant difference.
Well, we would have high crimes and misdemeanors if the president would stop objecting.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, that's not what I'm talking about.
And give us the documents and give us the testimony of his executives.
I get it.
Then we can really have a substantive discussion.
But what I'm saying, however, is if the discussion is the Democratic Party is the party of diversity and inclusion in this entire country, you can't find no black legal scholar.
Well, hold on. First, hold on. Wait, But here's the thing, Monique. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'll rephrase. I will rephrase what Chris said. If I had to pick, Republican voters are largely dumb, and Democrat voters are smart.
Loud and wrong.
The problem with smart voters is they think and they process. Dumb is dumb. Dumb responds to bumper sticker slogans. Republicans speak in bumper sticker slogans for dumb people. Democrats speak in paragraphs. And so part of this issue is that in terms of how you speak to voters, I still say this here. I still absolutely believe that if you unpack those black numbers, and if you have real conversation with voters, you're going to hear folks say, you know what? After 2 terms of a black president, white folks rebelled, including white folks who voted for Obama. So you know what? In order for us, let's just get rid of this crazy fool. We're going to have to go with a white man. Monique.
No, I don't think that they're largely dumb. The issues that
You mean Republican voters?
Right. The issues that
I think a lot of them are dumb.
GOP voters. Well, I mean, we get more.
No, I think a lot of them are dumb.
Get more of the college-educated cluster, but no, they're economically driven voters also. And you got to think about Republican voters are not that base. Republican voters are the ones who care about what's going to happen to their bottom line. But the one thing that I want to say is interesting about news today is Biden picked up the reckoning crew out of South Carolina that had pledged their support to Senator Harris. And that's a powerful group. You know who, when the news came out, said, oh, that was a good get? Lily Adams from Harris's camp, because all of those people who thought, and I'm talking to the black folks now, and the so-called smart media people who thought by dragging down the Harris campaign with story after story and with all of that negative press and the lying stuff about her record and everything, that it would go to their candidate, like to a Warren or a Sanders or a Buttigieg. It's all going to Biden. The next poll is going to be an even bigger gap than this one. Harris was the only viable candidate that could drag black voters away from Biden's clutch. And now that she is out, he's going to stay right where he is, and he's going to go even further.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, as the marijuana momentum continues, our folks at marijuanastock.org have already reached more than half of their funding goal for the hemp CBD investment. So if you want to take advantage, you better get in now. Of course, hemp is a cousin to marijuana with a much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana, but it won't get you high. Scott is sad. Now, folks, if you don't know, hemp farming is now legal in the U.S., creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. It's an investment opportunity for you and the full folks at 420 Real Estate have a simple business model. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed high-paying tenants, people like Chris. They are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. Now, all you got to do is invest as little as $200. Monique, you got that. In the crowdfunding campaign, up to $10,000. Amisha, some of that Sinclair money. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game and get in the game now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.